Good morning, medics. I am Charles Paul here at EMS at the Georgia EMS Providers Conference here in Jekyll Island. Sitting with, are you still a chief? Retired chief, ex-chief?
Well, once a chief, always a chief, maybe?
Want to be non-EMS?
I am not an active chief.
But you are a FEMA director?
GEMA. I am a...
it just keeps getting lower and lower on the list, buddy. This is Douglas Spencer, known him for ever. Yeah. But you've been the chief of chiefs. You've been a volunteer chief. You've been a GEMA. What else?
I got into EMS. I got my advanced EMT certificate. I do CPR instruction. I do EMS instruction, fire instruction, whatever you tell me to.
Yeah, I like that part. Like he showed up, he paid to come to the conference on his own. He shows up and I put in the work. It's been great. Great. Why do you come to conferences in general? Because you've gone to EMA conferences, you go to fire conferences. Why do you go to conferences? What do you get out of it?
What everybody else is doing. It's an
drinking. That's, I mean, you ask a general layperson why they go to conference. I go to drink and meet people.
Well, the National Fire Academy had to put a bar on campus because their students kept going into town. They said, no, you just do that on campus.
Our field and alcohol go hand in hand. But no, seriously though. I mean, you say what? Credit hours?
Well, yeah. There's credit hours that happen, but I mean, you can get that stuff online now. What you get when you come to places like this is to see the other people that you work with, to see that everybody's got the same issues that you've got. It's the
What
people.
about fixing the issue? See, that is the thing. I come to these, and there's some panels, or I come from a entertainment con background, so I call them panels instead of classes or whatever. But there's whatever. You get in, everybody has the same issue, but I almost never walk out with any kind of new way of looking at how to find a problem. And that's kind of why I go to conferences, besides to show off my rock stardom and be famous, is if I go to a class, which I will this whole session, I'm looking for new ideas, new ways to tackle something that maybe you've solved.
So I see that in two different lights. One is there's a regulatory half, which takes legit lobbying to do something about. And then the other is, hey, this particular service started this program from scratch, or this particular service, was midway through doing a program and came up with this issue. Things changed, and this is how they adapted to it. So this morning I was sitting in on a session where a particular service said, we built our program from scratch. It happened to be a paramedic program, but I mean, it works for whatever.
Yeah.
They built this program, and they said, we've recruited people that can put the pieces together. So it's not, a tunneled thing. Everybody doesn't do the same thing. We got somebody from here and somebody from there and somebody from here to put it together. Now that we put it together, we want to share it. We want everybody else to know what we did. So that's important to me, because if I go back to my county and go, well, I got no budget, we're all volunteers, we're selling chicken to, make ends meet, but how did these people do it? Can I apply that here? Can I call them up and get what they did? So that to me is an important issue.
That is
If you go look at the other side of it and go, okay, well, the state regulatory issues have an impact that kind of trickle downstream, and either everybody's having an issue with it and it's being worked on at the state level through whatever lobbying things that I really don't care to get involved with, or we're adapting to it and this is how we've made our changes. Hopefully it works for you. And so that kind of goes back to my original reasoning of who can I meet here and help me do what I need to do, because I have no infrastructure.
I get you. With no support, well, minimal support, but not like the big Gwinnett fires or even the private industry, which has stuff. You said something about, can I call you? That's one of the big aspects I think people lose sight of, because I know we're trying the royal we, right? As an industry, we're trying to get more ground level people to go to conferences. A lot of people are like, it's somewhat expensive. You got to get here, you got to pay for your hotel, food, and the con itself is not inexpensive.
Right.
And you get all your hours in, for your continuing education. But what you really get from it is, like you said, you're meeting people, making contacts that, for lack of better words, in your career you grow up with. So let's say you and I met at a conference and you work halfway across the state. Well, at some point, our careers may come together and like, well, I'm looking for a new spot. Well, I need a new paramedic. Those kind of things. For me, it's or like you said, the directorships of, hey, can I get your car? Can I call you and ask you some specific questions? And almost universally, I have found when you're talking to somebody and they're sharing ideas, they almost always say, yes, you can call me and follow up. And that's one of the big things that you can take away from a conference like this, is just meeting those people and seeing how I find that if you help them, they want to help you.
Yeah.
When you go to the classes, the bare minimum is the CEU, right? Do you ever do the scan and dodge, where you scan in one door, go out the other door, and go to the beach?
No.
I've heard. So people do that. I personally don't go intending to do that. I go in looking for the education. But if I find that you're not telling me anything I don't already know, or really, I've heard classes have been set up. This is from a podcast conference I went to many years ago. It was supposed to be how to get started in podcast. Not a conference, but this class, how to get started in podcasting. And it really was, the person stood up and just told their story. And it was right place, right time, and here, come pay me, I'll teach you how to do it. That's the worst kind of panel. So when you go into a panel like that, where they're just telling their story instead of teaching you something, how do you handle that?
Yeah, so I've never physically ditched, go in, scan the thing, just go back out the other door. But I have gone in and sort of checked out. This will just check the box, get my hours, but there's nothing here for me. I don't like doing those,
right?
But I mean, it happens. There's some of my classes that I've had, I crossed paths with the same instructor 3 or 4 times, and that particular instructor and I just wasn't my kind of instructor. We didn't jihad. Some of the things that came up, I was like, that
is jihad, not jihad. Like I heard, just clarifying. You didn't destroy each other. That's a good thing, I guess.
We are on Jekyll Island in South Georgia. Look around at the number of people that will understand what G and Ha mean.
So, walking past us is the world famous Tom Camplain, who'll be sitting at this table soon enough, I promise. He just circles around. Tom's you're gonna have to sit down this weekend and tell me some stories. So yes. But we're getting ready to go in here. I'll go one step further. When somebody's not quite connecting with me, but they're really trying hard in the room, and everybody's doing the whole, I will stick around just to, when they go, well, does anybody here have this? I'll help respond. You kind of need that feedback. That interaction, it helps. Because as a speaker, I feel bad for other speakers when they're not getting that feedback. But sometimes it's just dead. I went to the first leadership conference I ever went to for GEMSA. The guy couldn't make it. It was something was going on. He couldn't fly in. So it was an on-screen Skype thing. It's supposed to be I thought it was going to be about Medicare rules and regulations and how you handle them as a service. And it really wasn't. It's about some list that they put out and why you're on it and what you have to do about it. But because it was Skype or Zoom or whatever, and they didn't have a camera facing the crowd at all, it was just a monotone presentation. It was so hard. So I can't help you out. I can't interact with you. And I'm really getting nothing out of it. It was well intended, but just didn't play well. So I have 2 more questions we got here. What is it? How many of these GEMSA sponsored conferences have you been to?
I've only been to 2 of these.
Okay. Why only 2?
Because I have EMA conferences, I've got fire conferences, I've got EMS conferences, and so I rotate them.
Okay.
So I've made the intentional choice to take my 2 weeks of vacation and make family trips out of them to conferences. And so if I've gone to the EMA conference last year, then I'll go to the EMS conference this year and the fire conference next year, or some variation of that. It also depends on proximity, because fire conferences move around the state. When they came into Athens, that was literally next
backyard,
door.
Yeah.
But the one this time was over in Rome. and so I didn't make it to that one. But I had an opportunity to come to this one.
So what could GEMSA do differently to make you drop on your other conferences and come to these more?
Well, I like the weekend. This particular conference is only going to cost me 1 day of personal leave.
Okay.
Because I came in yesterday on Saturday. Now, it was technically pre-conference, but I made that choice, to come in and take a class on Saturday. Took a class this morning, which was pre-conference. The actual conference doesn't start for a few more minutes. It's noon start time thing. But to be able to come in on Saturday and on Sunday and get 2 full days of training and then do a partial day tomorrow, that really helps. It's not, I don't have to take off Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That'll mess up my whole week.
Right. So I went to EMS World, and it did that. The pre-con was Monday and Tuesday. The conference started Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And yeah, you lose a lot of work time and those kind of things with that. What do you love about EMS?
The people.
That is like not the answer I ever expected from anybody. I mean, most people hate people in the EMS. So, expound, sir.
Not the public, the people that you work with.
Okay.
The most effective teams. Now there are exceptions, obviously. There's some stories I can tell you about going on shift and going, oh God, it's that guy. But for the most part, I mean, we've been here for a couple hours, really, with people kind of shuffling in and stuff. And already I've met more people in 2 hours that go, hey, it's good to see you. Hey, glad you came down here, as opposed to some of the other places I've gone where it's just, all right, let's get this over with.
I got you. And they recognize you?
Apparently.
Like, don't you know that one EMS guy? He's the rock star. So, as a thank you for sitting down at the conference and giving some of your time, we've got some awesome tumblers
You're going to have to turn those the other way.
I was showing you. I'm practically showing the guests.
Oh.
Which tumbler would you like to take home, sir?
I'll take this one.
Okay. Well, I'll give you one out of a box, so it's clean. But thank you for being on One EMS. Go back and tell everybody in your county they got to watch and listen now. And appreciate you, man.
All right.
Say, we are One EMS.
We are One EMS.